Hello and welcome to the second part of my modular train station inspirational tutorial, and in this part we're messing around with all the things we can do to create interesting modular train station designs. Okay, so in our first example of using configurable stations, we're going to be creating a fairly simple and standard mixed consist station, and we've already got a map here with a stone quarry at one end. We have a commat plant at the other end, so that's our simple freight construction route. And we have two towns, one of which does require the construction materials, and at the other end of the passenger line, a much bigger city. This city doesn't require the construction materials. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is try and set up a route to actually take the single train that I'm using from Wichita Falls to the commat plant to pick up the construction materials and deliver it to Henderson. Now, the first thing we notice here is that it gives us a warning. I've only got passenger wagons on this train, so it's telling me that that won't work at this station. The train will stop there, but it won't pick up or deliver any cargo, so in effect it's pointless, hence the red warning. So what we need to do is change the consist of our train to actually include freight wagons. So once I've added a couple of appropriate freight wagons to this line, to this consist, notice that the warning symbol at the top of the screen has immediately disappeared. So this station is appropriate now for this train. Unfortunately, we only have a passenger station at the other end of the line, so we need to configure this particular station now to include cargo delivery. So what we'll do here is we'll create a cargo station in the simplest possible way by simply putting the cargo platforms across the tracks from the passenger platforms. They'll have different station names, Henderson and Henderson Exchange for the freight, and we'll see how well this new station setup sits within our revised route. So although it appears in the list here as a platform or as a station to go to, it's going first to the passenger platform and then to the exchange, the cargo platform. So a little bit of time has passed. So it pulls up first at the passenger station, delivers passengers, picks up new ones. It's trying to get to Henderson Exchange, but it can't. There is no actual route to Henderson Exchange, and in fact we get a warning message here to say there is no way to get there. It has to have track which it can travel along to get to the other station, the cargo station, which is why this particular configuration is entirely unworkable. There are ways of actually creating this sort of effect, and we'll look at those in another example in due course. So, correcting the station's design, we're going to create our cargo platform on the end of the passenger platform. So there is actually track between the two stations. Now, as we discussed in the earlier section of this video, we don't actually need cargo buildings to handle the delivery or pickup of freight from a station, but again, for aesthetic reasons you probably want to put it in anyway, just because it looks better. Now we're having to put in track here, actual station track, so that the train can actually stop at the platform. If we'd left it as ordinary track, then although the platform exists, there is no track there for it to stop on. The other interesting feature about this particular layout is the actual station lengths don't need to be the same. We have got just one length of cargo station here, so that's a mere 40 meters. It will work, it won't look very good, it'll be somewhat unsightly, but the system will operate correctly. I'm just making sure that I've got the station names correct again. Again, it's always a good idea to have separate names for your stations, for the cargo and the passenger stations, if nothing else to make it a good deal easier for you to identify the routing of those trains along that route. So we're going to try this again, and because the cargo platform is the one it gets to first, I've put that station, the Henderson Exchange, before the Henderson passenger platform in the route. And you see it works, although it doesn't look terribly good, so aesthetically it's not at all pleasing. But because it is able to travel along track from one station to the other, this method of creating a mixed consist station will work. It's not very attractive, but it does sort of work. But let's actually have a look at mixing this up a bit and making it a more interesting layout. Now the first thing I want to do here, because I want to do it properly, is just check how long my train actually is. It's 112 meters, and we know that each of the platform lengths is 40. So that's that is about 120, isn't it, in all? So we're going to need at least 3 platform lengths for the length of the whole train. So let's see if we can actually achieve that in this example. So let's extend this platform, the cargo end. So we want platforms, cargo platforms, and we're going to need, what I want to do in fact is make it longer still. And we're going to use one of the things we learnt in the basic rules in the first part of this video. Now, as we can see here, we can't do anything with this track here because that track is not station track, that's just ordinary rail track. Let's put some more track actually in here. We can't go down there because I think there's a slight curve on that track which just gets in the way of what we're doing. Otherwise we should be able to put track on the end of that. We'll see that in a moment. We'll put some more passenger platform along here, making sure we click on the blue box to position our platform. And next, while we're here, actually let's get rid of that track which we've realised we don't need. Okay. Now we've got 3 lengths of passenger. We have got 3 lengths. We've actually got 4 lengths, I think, of cargo, which is what I want. So let's configure this and put in the remaining lengths of track. Okay. That will go all the way down here. Get rid of that. Put some remaining platform in there. We'll make this cargo down there. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, we're going to make use of something we learned in the first part of the video, and that is that once you've constructed your station, length, width, the maximum size you want it to be, you can actually remove modules from within that area and it still functions as a whole unit. So I can remove that platform and indeed this track, and it still functions as one single combined cargo and passenger station. And I'm doing that because what I want to put in here, and you can see that by the icons are still there, so it works as both passenger and cargo even though they are physically not connected anymore, which is one of the great little tricks you have with the modular stations. What this means is that I didn't actually need to delete the platforms. I could have left them in there. But because there was no adjoining station track, they would not be counted as a platform as part of a terminal, if you will, within this station area. Why am I doing that? Because what I want to do, can I do this? I might have to do it the other way around. Like so and so. Can I? It's not going to let me put that in there. Can I instead make that a double? It's rather nicely put in the icons above the switch. I can make that a double slip. So trains can go from this platform on the south, cargo platform on the south, to the passenger platform on the south as well over there. Ideally I would put in an actual straight length of track there, so I wouldn't need to do that. But within the constraints of this platform space that I've got here, I'm going to leave that as it is. Okay, so what have we got on the Henderson exchange? The cargo platforms. We have the train turning up on platform 1 here. On the passenger end, we have it turning up on platform 1 here. Let's actually change that, shall we? Let's put that on passenger platform 2. Now, I made the platforms long enough for the train to avoid it overextending and getting in the way of this switch. It might have prevented it actually turning round and going back out again. Okay, we need to connect this back up again. There we are. And what we could do in here is put in a switch as well. Like so. So trains can exit on either platform, whichever they're. So again, this isn't a terribly realistic or necessarily useful example of a functioning station, because trains will still get in the way of each other. But what could happen here is we could have our cargo train coming in on platform 1 here for the Henderson Exchange, and then the next train coming in, a passenger train, might go straight past it into the platform here at the passenger end of the station, and there'll be then some switching over. So it would allow you perhaps to get more trains in. And again, this gives you an idea of the more interesting and perhaps more elegant ways you can create multi-platform, multi-consist stations. The idea here is that we can put in these crossovers within the station area itself. And we're doing that because you can't actually, as we've seen, put, I don't need that, I want this. You can only put straight lengths of track in the station area itself using the configure station. You can't put in these joining, these switches here. Actually, I can't put that in there either, no. So, and you can't actually put the ordinary track over. You can't put the ordinary track over the rail track either. They are quite separate entities, assets within the game. Okay, so let's roll this forward a touch and see how our train responds to our new layout. So here he is coming into our cargo platforms at Henderson Exchange. Again, we could have made this a very short platform area if we wanted to, and it would still have worked. But the benefits of having a full-length platform is A, it looks better, and B, if this was a loading station as well, it will give you more capacity for storing cargo. And then he switches over to go to the passenger station, travelling of course at a suitably modest speed for within a station area. The other interesting thing about this is you notice it did actually deliver the cargo, even though there are no cargo buildings attached to this station platform here. But the station is within the deliveries area for the construction materials freight. And here he is, he's making use of that double slip junction to go out on the southern track line. So we could have had another train coming in here and delivering more cargo at that first platform. And there we are, another example of the interesting things you can do with the modular stations in Transport Fever 2. You can create all sorts of junctions and switches within the station area. Now here in this third example, we're going to be building on what we've seen already in creating this 4-track through station. Once again, I've created it as a mixed consist station with both passenger platforms and cargo platforms, as you can see. The difference here is that we have 4 tracks. We have 2 tracks which are running straight through the station for a fast train going through without stopping. Now, quick heads up, there are not 2 platforms at this station, there are 4. And we'll come into that as we go through the example. This is a pickup cargo station which provides commat, which is all done through a truck route, as you can see there. And we have routes, passengers coming in from Kings Lynn, which go through that main station at Sawbridgeworth. We have a passenger route coming through Tadcaster, from Tadcaster straight through to Devizes without stopping at Sawbridgeworth. Now the Devizes station here is another mixed consist one, and this is the one that takes the freight from Sawbridgeworth, the red line, which is coming from Kings Lynn, picks up freight and passengers at Sawbridgeworth and delivers them here. The blue line is the fast passenger route from Tadcaster. And this is a fifth station, which is passenger only, Wadhurst to Kings Lynn, again stopping at Sawbridgeworth. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to remove part of this station so I can show you how I created it and the issues involved in building this sort of station. First off, just remove some of the modules, the cargo platforms in particular, from this, and then we'll rebuild it and show you how I did that. I'm going to keep one cargo platform in place here just because I've got existing routes and I don't want to mess with the capacity on those routes. Obviously, if you're building this from scratch, then you won't have those particular concerns. Now, the thing here is that those through tracks are ordinary train track. They are not station track modules. And as we've seen in the earlier examples, you can only add new track or platforms alongside or on the end of an existing module, platform or track. Now, because that's ordinary track, I can't place my platforms or my second train track on the other side of the station. So the first thing we need to do is build up the full width of the station using train station modules. So all you need to do, in fact, is, as I'm going to do here, is simply add in one end of the station. You don't have to put the track down throughout the entire length. As we'll see, we just need to get it across the width so we can create the full width of the station, the 4-track width. So we're going to place our station train track in the middle there as well to create the width that we need, so we can add the lower platform, which is going to be cargo in this example, onto the station here and just move that along. Again, this works because we're adding the platforms on the end of existing platforms, even though there's no track, or no station track at least, to attach it alongside. And we're going to add that in momentarily. So we need to put the station track alongside the cargo platform, so that makes that length of platform a terminal for trains to stop at. Now, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm removing all the sort of central through track, just so I can show you how I created the switch and so on. Now, we could leave these train track modules, the station train track modules, in there at the end of the station. They'll work perfectly well. The only issue, of course, is that you can't actually add switches or junctions or any fancy stuff to station track modules. So I'm going to make it all ordinary train track, so that gives me more flexibility over what I can do with that length of track. So if I want to add in extra switches and so on at the end of the station, I can do that. Now, the thing here is, because we have created a break in the station track by putting ordinary track in the middle of those two ends, those two sides of the station, we are actually creating two platforms on either side. So we have two passenger platforms now, broken up by this ordinary track length in the centre, which allows me to create this double switch junction here. And I'm using this is unlike one of the earlier examples, because this is a double length track, it's or at least double module length, then I can actually put in the proper crossover there. If you've only got one length of module track, as it were, in there, then you won't be able to create that diamond crossing. As we've seen before, you don't actually need cargo buildings, or you don't need buildings on both sides of the station for it to function, for both platforms to function. But again, for aesthetic reasons, to make it look good, which I imagine is what most of us want to do when we're creating a station in Transport Fever 2, is for it not just to be functional and do a job. We actually want it to look reasonably good and actually like a genuine station. And the reason I've got those red boxes there in the centre is because I'm building into an existing setup. My truck stop is too close to the station there. I can't fit a cargo building alongside the platform there. Obviously, if you're building this from scratch, then that won't be an issue. You'll place your truck stops and other infrastructure appropriately, so you could build up the buildings and the platforms as you require them. So what it's doing there is picking up and dropping off passengers and the top left passenger platform, and then coming across to pick up the cargo in the bottom right cargo platform. Whereas the other train line, which is coming in from Wadhurst on the right, is picking up and dropping off passengers on the top right platform and then going straight out through the left. And I'm having my stopping trains actually go onto the through track, just to make, hopefully, it easier for trains that might follow on behind it get to the platforms that much quicker and more effectively. Obviously, I'm not a great designer of stations, so there may be better and more efficient, elegant ways of doing this. And this is the fast train going through from from Tadcaster to two Devizes, which doesn't stop at the station at all and goes straight through on those through tracks. And if you're of a mind to make your station look good, do remember that you do have all these paint and terrain tools available in Transport Fever 2. I'm not great at this, as you can see, so we could attempt to fill in those gaps to make it slightly more realistic, or possibly not. Okay, so I now have trains on all three routes going through the station in position. So let's see how they navigate through this particular setup. Coming in from the left is the mixed consist train from King's Lynn, dropping off and picking up passengers first at the left-hand passenger platform, while the passenger train coming from Wadhurst is picking up and dropping off at passenger platform 2 on the top right there. Now this mixed consist train has now to go across the station track, getting in the way of the through train to stop off at the cargo platform to pick up its cargo. Now I have put lights here in this junction, kind of unrealistic, but it's just showing off what you can do if you wish to by putting ordinary track through the middle of your station. Bear in mind that you can't actually put signals on station track modules. It can only be placed on ordinary train track. And in this case the stopping train takes precedence, slightly unusually, but again this is just showing off something that you can do. Whether it's sensible or not is another matter. And bear in mind that what we can do, all these trains here are through trains. You could equally have this as the trains stop at a platform and then turn around and go back. So by putting this ordinary track in the middle of the station alongside each platform, I'm creating two platforms from one long length. So I could have trains that come in and turn around, or through trains as I have here. How it works is entirely up to you. You have that choice. For our final example of modular station configurations, we're going to try something slightly unusual. At the moment I have a very simple couple of platforms. It's not really a station because there are no buildings in Tempe, which serves a simple passenger route to Cape Coral, and it also has demand for cargo in terms of commat. There's a very simple line that I've already created to supply that. What I want to try here, and again it's not entirely realistic, but it just shows off what you can do, is see if I can create two terminal stations back to back. One for passengers, sort of finish off this existing station I've got here, and attached to it, behind it if you will, a cargo terminal station. Now one thing you'll notice here, if you've got a building, passenger or cargo, you can't attach another building to it. So I couldn't sort of create the two buildings back to back. So what we're going to do as usual is draw out the whole length of the station that we want. So we're going to create the length of cargo station that I want to add in here. So that's 3 modules, but I'm going to delete the middle module there between the two stations so I can put the buildings, the passenger and the cargo end station buildings. So we just need to get rid of these tracks in the middle and drop our buildings in the middle there. And as you can see, it finishes off the terminal station for passengers, but there's no room here for the cargo building. I think it doesn't matter how small I make the buildings, they simply won't fit. So I do need to actually make a 2 module gap between the two stations. And as you can see there, you can sort of do it, but it just doesn't look as good as I want it to look. So we're going to reduce the size of the cargo station, the cargo platform, so we can fit our buildings in there. There's our passenger building to make that terminal station. And for the cargo building, we'll do likewise in there. Now they fit, but they don't quite link together as I want them to. So we're going to need we can use bigger buildings in here, and they should then, as we'll see, link together as if it's one sort of contiguous station. You see a gap in there? Because I'm using one large cargo building and a medium-sized passenger building. So if I put the large passenger building in there, that should Yeah, the sort of big terminal building doesn't work, so we'll just use an end building there, and that looks a lot better. It looks like they join up, and indeed they do. So we now have 2 terminal stations. The cargo station is shorter than I planned it, so I just need to extend that. Now, one thing I've noticed here now is that the track within the station is not electrified, although the incoming track is. I'm planning to use electric locomotives, and there appears to be no upgrade option for the tracks within the station. The station tracks can't be upgraded, so I have to remove them and add them again. Now, I believe I've seen this, but I can't show it here in this example, is that on a proper through station, if you electrify the tracks either side of the station itself will automatically upgrade to electrified track. But that's not happening here on these terminal stations, so I have to relay the station track itself. Just one thing to note there, you may have seen it, the passenger station icon disappeared briefly after I deleted all the track within the station. So obviously a station needs both track and platform. So that's looking good. That's exactly what I want. So let's get the trains and routes set up and we'll see this in action. Right, so we have 2 trains approaching from either end of this city. A passenger train coming in from the left, and from the right our cargo train. Delivering their appropriate freight, either passenger or cargo. One slight oddity here is you may have noticed that the passenger train didn't pull up to the full length of the platform on that side. I'm not entirely sure why that is. We may need to play with that, or it may just be a feature or a bug, if you will, of using these 2 terminal stations together. Now what I'm thinking here is if I wanted to add in another through line from the town of Tempe here to Mesquite, which is off down to the right hand side of the screen as you look at it here, we have a slight issue. I can't simply run another track alongside the passenger track because the cargo platforms are twice the width, so it simply won't run out as you saw there. We need to actually get it spaced out a bit more. Now you're thinking here, okay, I put in the track for the platform, the station track, so I just need to add it to ordinary track to run out. But unfortunately, the effect of the terminal building there, as you see, is to stretch that little end platform over the end of that track. And that actually causes a collision with the ordinary track that you might want to run in there. So one way of getting around that is to simply make that passenger platform a bit wider. Now this gives us the ability to run our track straight alongside and out past or adjacent to the cargo platform, as you see there. Though to be honest, I don't actually want all that to be station track. So once again, if you reduce the size of that station track there, the platform gets in the way. So one thing we're trying to do here is see if we can remove the passenger building temporarily, put in our length of station track, link it to ordinary track, and then put the station building back in. Unfortunately, it still wants to extend the end platform over the end of that station track, causing a collision, as you can see there. So that's not going to work either. So what we need to do is keep that final stretch of station track in there so we can place our passenger building in the position we need it. And the little bit of end platform, you can see there, doesn't get in the way of our regular track. And that should all work now. We now have 2 terminal stations accepting passengers in one end, cargo in the other, and a through line platform to the south which can take trains in any direction basically. And that's it. That brings us to the end of our few examples of modular train station design. a few ideas thrown around and tested out. Not all of them are going to give you ideal solutions. Some of them may be a little inelegant, but it shows you the options, the possibilities that are open to you in designing stations for your maps and your routes. There's all sorts of things you can do, but the main thing here is just try it out. And remember, the key thing I think we've learnt here is once you've built your station to its maximum size that you need or want, you can take bits out of the middle and it will still function exactly as a single station. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me for these tutorials. Hope you've enjoyed them and maybe even learned something, but most of all I hope they've inspired you to try some interesting and exciting new ideas for your own stations within Transport Fever 2. If you'd like me to try any particular ideas out, please do get in touch, perhaps using the comments box below. Or if you'd like me to try this with modded stations, do let me know likewise. And if you've created anything spectacular and wonderful in terms of modular stations, then why not send me a picture or a link to a video if you've created videos yourself. You can get in touch with me either through the comments box below or on Twitter or Instagram. Again, all the links are in the description below this video. But once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been Ajaxpost, this has been Transport Fever 2, and I will see you again soon. But until then, bye bye for now.